I feel like everyone these days knows how difficult it is to talk about Star Wars without having angry fans mob outside your house or send you the nicest and sweetest death threats in the mail. Well, guess what, boys? I've decided to live a little dangerously and say something bad about the game that most people seem to think is EA's best Star Wars game yet. Now, this video is going to be pretty negative, but just so you know, I don't hate this game. I just think it has some problems that really should have been addressed and really annoy me during repeat playthroughs of the game. I'm playing this on PS4, and maybe these issues are fixed when playing this on PS5, but the problem there is, 1, I have no idea if they fixed anything when playing on PS5. 2, PS5s are really hard to get right now. And 3, PS5s are not exactly within everyone's price range, especially the physical version, which is $100 more. So I'm basing this review entirely off of what this game is right now on PS4. Now that I've finished boring you with this intro, let's get started. This is where the fun begins. The first thing I wanted to talk about is probably one of the most disappointing parts of this game for me, and it's the visuals. This game was so close to looking amazing, and sometimes it does. Like in sections where you're doing something really simple, like climbing up a rope, and it zooms out to show you mountains and ships in the background. Those times are absolutely beautiful. What's not beautiful is times when going from a dark area to a light area, and the game just can't decide how bright it wants to be, so it just flickers for a few seconds until it decides. Or the fact that basically every single area in the game looks gross and grimy. Like, for Imperial bases or former battlegrounds, okay, fine, I'll accept that it's grimy. But for a deserted snow planet, it should not look grimy. But the thing that annoyed me the most with the visuals is when things you're supposed to traverse, like pieces of walls that you use to climb, completely blend into the environment and look just like stuff you can't climb on. So you're stuck there forever, and eventually you just need to look up a guide. It's very annoying, and it got in my way a lot in my first playthrough. They really should have done a better job at showing what you can and cannot use. For this next part, I wanted to talk about the enemies in this game. The thing that pissed me off the most about the enemies in this game is the small ones. These little ones will just jump out at you out of nowhere. You walk past them and you don't see them because they blend into the environment way too well. I get trying to add challenge to the game to surprise the players, but when a player gets hit by one of these guys jumping out at them, they're not going to feel like they messed up. They're going to feel like the game was unfair. Another thing that annoys me is really more of a glitch, but I feel like it makes more sense to include it here. And it's that sometimes when you kill enemies, they don't stop moving when they're supposed to, and they just lay on the ground shaking, and it looks off. Also, sometimes when you're too close to them, it'll make you start shaking too. The shortest part in this video is the controls. The controls in this game aren't terrible, and I hate describing controls because it's really difficult, so this part will be brief. Sometimes, especially during combat, the controls feel really sluggish and it becomes a little difficult to fight back. Like when a stormtrooper tries to hit you with a baton and you miss a block, so he manages to hit you. He goes for another hit and you try to block again, but this time it's just way too slow and he hits you easily, so each hit is basically 2. I also hate almost every sliding section in this game because they control terribly and your jumps feel like garbage. Next is navigation. The navigation in this game is all kinds of messed up. It's insanely difficult to find where you are on most of the planets. In earlier planets like Zepho and Bogano, it's pretty easy to find your way around because the planets are small and have very noticeable landmarks, like the ruined village on Zepho or the tall temple on Bogano. Once you get to Kashyyyk, it becomes very difficult to tell where you're supposed to go. Like, every room is just another hallway or another forest area, and it makes it so that I'm stopping to pull out a map every few seconds. Which brings me to my next problem, the map. These maps are near unreadable once you get to Kashyyyk. At first, the maps show one floor, maybe 2, but once you get to Kashyyyk, it starts showing you 3 or more floors, and let me tell you, it is difficult to figure out where you are and where you need to go with this map. The last section is gonna be the glitches. The glitches for me are probably the worst part of this game. Of all the things in the game, this is what definitely pulls me out of any immersion and makes my brain realize, wait a minute, this is a game. The glitches are very noticeable and very frequent. As I'm writing this part of the review, I've only replayed up to the end of Kashyyyk, and I've already encountered a bunch, so I'll just mention a few that stood out to me. First, being the enemies sometimes appear in places that they shouldn't, like when I was in a Jedi temple and I used a wind current to blow explosive enemies out of the way so I could pass. But as I walked through, some of them just spawned in the air and exploded. Second, being when I respawned on the ship after a cutscene, and I spawned at a really weird angle. This is not supposed to happen. Third, is walking through things that I shouldn't have been able to walk through, like a random wall in Zepho. I found a Force Echo, and when I turned around to walk away, I accidentally walked through a wall. Again, this should not be happening. So that's why this game really disappoints me. Hopefully, they come back and fix these issues, or make some kind of fixes when they're played on the newer consoles. But knowing EA, they probably won't happen. Maybe in some eventual sequel. I think this game could have done better in all these categories, and it's sad that it didn't. So now that I've finished saying bad things about a piece of Star Wars media, I should be expecting angry fans to approach me any second now. Oh, that's probably them. Okay then, if I'm alive and can make the next video, I hope you subscribe so you can see it. Also, leave a like, and go to the comment section and tell me what you thought about this game if you played it. See ya!